I suppose I should start with a definition of what a trauma bond is. I'm not sure I like the word trauma. It's overused and the meaning's become a bit vague. But here it describes the circumstance, so let's go on with it. A trauma bond is a physical, psychological and emotional bond formed between a victim of abuse and their abuser. The bond itself is unhealthy to the victim. In intimate relationships, love is only a one-way street from the victim to the abuser. The abuser creates the bond by infrequent bouts of affection, leaving the victim tolerant of an increasing abuse, waiting for the usual, increasingly shorter bouts of affection. Excuse me. Be sure that the affection felt by the victim is deep and very difficult to break. On a fundamental level, we all need that affection, and the victim will endure the trauma of abuse and wait for the infrequent better times. I believe the victim does not just tolerate the abuse, but subconsciously counts it towards the next affectionate bit coming, like ticking off of a calendar. This is no fantasy definition. I've learned over the years of practice from victims and survivors that we all have an unconscious, subconscious drive for pleasure. This comes from Freud and his id drive. But this unconscious drive for pleasure overrides the suffering of even physical abuse. If you are not with me yet, think about why a victim even stays with their abuser after the first abuse. Just think about that. Why do you stay there? This forms the trauma bond, when intense emotional ties develop between a person and someone who is simultaneously a source of harm and comfort. To recover from a trauma bond is extremely difficult. Not because of your lack of willpower or motivation, but because the bonds are reinforced by powerful psychological, neurobiological and social forces. As a victim, you still love them. Why else would you tolerate it? Explain and even take responsibility for your actions. Blaming yourself for provoking them so that they don't have to explain their actions. Understanding these mechanisms helps explain why recovery feels so hard, but it's never impossible. At a biological level, trauma bonds engage the brain's reward and attachment systems. Oxytocin and dopamine, chemicals associated with bonding, trust and reward, are released during intimate or emotionally intense interactions, even when those interactions are abusive. Those chemicals still let you down. The intermittent pattern of reward, periods of kindness, apologies or affection coupled with punishment or withdrawal creates a strong, powerful conditioning effect. Simultaneously, chronic stress from abuse increases cortisol and can dysregulate neural circuits involved in the threat detection, emotion regulation, and memory consolidation. Over time, surviving an unpredictable relationship can sift the brain into a heightened state of vigilance and dependency, and care-seeking behaviours that become tightly linked to the survival strategies. The result is a physiological craving for connection with the abusive person, even as rational thought recognises the danger you might be in. Even though you recognise how dangerous and damaging the relationship with this person is, you still want to be there. Incredible. But true. There are several psychological processes that maintain the trauma bonds. Intermittent reinforcement. affectionate or apologetic behaviour from the abuser keeps hope alive. Cognitive dissonance also plays a role. Survivors holding conflicting beliefs. They hurt me, they love me. This is cognitive dissonance. And to reduce the discomfort, they may rationalise or minimise the abuse. This protects self-esteem in the short term, of course, but the reinforcement stays there. This is sounding really difficult to drop, isn't it? But we will get there. The victim, you, could develop what we call learned helplessness. This is when attempts to change your abuser's behaviour constantly fail. Over time, you will come to realise that your actions have no effect, which will reduce your effort to seek the resolution that you deserve. Effectively, you learn to be helpless, but also very dependent on your abuser. What helps this is shame, self-blame, and they both compound this. This is what your abuser wants you to feel. It absolves them of responsibility of hurting you. It's your fault I hit you. I've heard that so many times. Second hand, of course, from the victim. One of the major traits of all abusers is their inability to take responsibility for their actions. Like a teenager who wants the trappings of adulthood with no responsibility. If you ever ask a naughty teenager to do something like washing up or tidy their room, they will tell you that their life is over and that you caused them to die. You, the victim here, will help out your abuser by believing you provoked them, or that you're unlovable and not good enough for them, or for anyone else for that matter. This is further down the trauma bond road. Now, the abuser's tactics of gaslighting, isolation, stalking, legal threats are often strategic, designed to maintain control and undermine your survivor confidence and support. Even if you leave, these tactics can keep the bond alive via threats, intermittent contact, or legal entitlements. I call them hand grenades. Of course, in the UK at least, we have laws against remote coercion and abuse. Like all life, recovery is a process, not an event, which makes this hard situation temporary. I'm going to say that again. This situation is temporary. Help yourself with practical steps to secure your safety, legal orders, safe housing, and financial planning. Trauma bonds are stubborn because they harness your brain's attachment and reward systems. So stick to the logistics. Stick to what needs to be done. If you're a parent, look after your children. If you're not a parent, make sure your life is complete around you without them. What you will find, what I said in podcast 2, is when you leave, you feel like there's a hole, but the hole is not them missing. It's not that at all. The hole is created because they've shrunk your circle of care while you were with them. They've alienated family, friends, and shrunk the circle of influence around you so that they had complete control. What the hole in you is now developing from is that what is missing, not your abuser. Now then, if you want to talk to me, you can get me through the normal channels, but website is best, rayfreemanpsychotherapy.com. If you don't want to talk to me, but just want to listen and read more, then there is a membership of the website available where you get several articles and podcasts on a weekly basis. I'm also on YouTube. That's still building, but this will be going on YouTube for instance. You can catch me on Instagram, on Facebook. But the best way, if you want to talk to me or you want to learn more about what I talk about, website is best. Okay, that's the end of the 3. There will be another series coming very soon. In the meantime, thank you for listening and watching me. Bye for now.